Hey, happy Palm Sunday. Hey, I just want to jump on here. I know it's been a minute. I haven't been on as often as I usually do. But I just want to say, oftentimes we say, God, use me. Let me let that sink in for a sec. Because some of you already checked out because you're so busy, you kind of got things going on. But for those who are still on, we say, God, use me. But if we want God to use us, He's going to use us how He wants to use us for His glory. It's not about God, use me the way that I want you to. But no, when you say, Lord, use me, He'll do it. I'll give you an example, and I'm going to jump off here real quick. Hold on tight. So multiple times, for those who don't know, I live in Florida. I'm up on the Panhandle, and it's often called Lower Alabama. Let that sink in. So nothing against my Alabama folks or whatever, Roll Tide, all that good old stuff. Yeah, good stuff. But I'm talking about being used by God. Oftentimes as a hospice chaplain, as a pastor, but most importantly, as a hospice chaplain, there's times where I go into homes where I may have someone tell me, hey, Willie, when you go into this area, man, I really like you. Just be careful. And what they're trying to say is there's a what's the word I'm looking for? A pre-existing prejudice. Yep. There's a pre-existing prejudice. But we're saying we want to be used by God. So our heart has to be right before we go into those atmospheres. All right. So one time in particular, I went into a person's home where I had been told by someone prior to me going into that, hey, Willie, watch out, because again, there's a pre-existing prejudice in that particular area and different things like that. But I'm going in with the heart and mind of God. So I'm not worried about what they may think about me because of what I look like. But I want them to see God because I've been sent there on assignment. Here, roll with me now. Here. So when I get into this particular home, they share some things with me, and then one person in particular, he says this. Let me come close. He said, my best friend is colored. Many of y'all would have checked out already because you forgot that you asked God to use you. So, went into the conversation, I just listened because the Bible says slow to speak, quick to listen. All right, so by the time I finished talking or listening to this young man, he shares with me about how one of his best friends is colored, all right, black, for those who are so deep, you don't understand what that is. He says, my best friend is colored. He begins to cry. And he shares the story with me about how his father and mother just was ready to throw him away. And he's bawling now, right? And he shares the man's name. I'm not going to say his name for the situation of confidentiality. He begins to cry, and he tells me about how his parents were ready to just throw him away. And this colored guy said, I'll take him. I'll raise him as my own. And he says about how this guy was like his father. He didn't say like his father. He said his father. So in other words, as I started out, we say we want to be used by God, but we got to make sure that our heart is pure when we go into situations because God is going to utilize us for His glory. There's too much going on in the time and days of life, and people are ready to give up on each other or ready to throw in the towel because of the way that we look. The Bible says that God looks at the heart. Man looks at the outer appearance, but God looks at the heart. I hope to God, if you're saying that you want to be used by God, you're not restricted by a building, or by a nationality, or by the way that you look, by the side of town that you came from, or any of that. Truly, if you want to be used by God, say in the comment section, if you stayed this long, say, I want to be used by God. And if that's you, let's talk. Have a blessed day.